If you see kids starting to have money, or the thing when they stop asking you,
cash.
yeah, when they stop asking you for money,
Yeah,
that's when you worry.
yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you a scam. All right, these are the scams. You can go into Target, okay, and find a cash receipt. All right, and on that cash receipt, say it has 7 items on it, and it's $130, $140. So you got a team of like 4 people. You come out with the receipt, you hand off the receipt. Person goes in, steals everything on the receipt, brings it back out.
Return it.
Next person goes back in with the cash receipt, gives it to them. Now you can only do it 3 times because they run your ID. After the 3rd time, you can't do it no more. But after the 3rd time, they'll give you a gift card. Now explain this shit to me. If the government don't know what's going on or something, or they don't know what's going on, why did they make, just for these gift cards, a machine that will redeem cash for a fee?
That's interesting.
Do you see what I'm getting at with that? Like, you can't return. We'll give you a gift card, and then 2 months later, these new machines, kiosks, are in, where they take like 12% of it, but they'll cash it out and redeem it for you.
Yeah, because they're taking some off the top.
Now they're getting a piece of it.
Fucking government, man.
Yeah, now they're getting a piece of that shit. I mean, you could go to a Giant, and a lot of people didn't know, but as up to a couple years ago, Giant would return pretty much anything. You could go to a Giant, run out of there with a cart full of groceries, and go to another Giant and walk it right in there, and they'll give you the cash for it.
No.
They would before. Now, no, because it's bad now. But back in the day, yeah, their policy, they give you cash for it. As crazy as that sounds. But my whole thing is, like with them kiosks, that was all clicking to me, but it didn't click to me until I got sober. I was like, well, hold on. Like, they're blocking you from getting this cash, but now all of a sudden this fucking machine is sitting here and I can get the cash with this gift card. But who gets that 10, 12%?
Did you ever go to jail?
Because when they're giving you the cash, they ain't getting anything off the top.
Exactly.
So now they're like, all right, well, screw that. We need to forget giving you the cash. Yeah. You know, you give this gift card. Here's the fee that we're going to take off the top.
Yeah. Exactly.
Did you ever go to jail for doing any of that?
I've been to jail a few times.
Yeah. What was the longest you ever spent in jail?
I was in D.C. for about a few months.
What'd you do to get locked up in D.C.?
It's actually a crazy story. We were in D.C. copping heroin, and from the same spot we always get it from, we were pulled up, and the guy we were with, Sammy, ran up to the guy's house. And while we were sitting there, I saw an unmarked drive past us with the guys looking. So as soon as Sammy got in the car, I was like, all right, let's go. And I saw the car just go down the street. And you know how you make right turns there, not a lot of U-turns in D.C. But I said, whatever you do, I said, do not make a fucking U-turn. Like, make a right, another right, we'll get out of here. So what's this asshole do? He goes down, he makes a fucking U-turn. So we drive down the end of the street. As soon as we make a left to get on the main street, I hear it just sirens, like light up. So I grab all the dope because we used to all throw in money and we would get, bags. But so I got 12 individual bags of heroin on me. My buddy has a scale in the car. We all have needles. I'm trying to get it down my pants, and before I could even reach, the guy had this gun literally at the windshield, just yelling and screaming at me. And so they pulled me out the car, and I made one last try to push at it, and he handcuffed me, and he ran through my pocket and pants. He didn't find it. I was like, oh, shit, okay. And he looked at my buddy who was sitting on the curb, and he's just pale white, sweating. He said, "No, hold it." He let my arms go, and he said, "Actually, no, come here." He said, "Why is he sweating so bad, looking all nervous?" And he ran it again, and he found all the bags. So I had 12 bags of heroin, which was 6 grams, a bag of weed, which they charged me for too, which I don't understand, and They were trying to get me for intent because of the scale. They put the
Scale.
scale on.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
if you didn't have that, scale,
Yeah.
it would have just been personal use. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
right.
done. Been in and out.
When you had the scale in there,
Yeah.
now you get intent to sell.
So they took me, and it was a Friday, which sucked because you going in on Friday.
You're not getting
You're
out
not
till
getting
Monday.
You don't
Yeah.
see the magistrate till Monday,
yeah,
and you're in there
nothing.
all night.
So I was in this, and it's a nasty ass jail, man. Rats, roaches, I mean, disgusting. But so I'm there, and then they let me out that Monday, and I take off to Florida just to go on vacation, and I completely forget about the court date.
So now you have
I
a
was
failure to
like,
appear.
Oh shit! And no, so what was it? 10 days after I got back from South Beach, the fucking marshals came and kicked in the door, and they were like 7 deep, and they grabbed me up, and this is how much of a junkie I can tell you I was. I didn't reach for anything. I already had a shot ready to go with heroin in it. I reached for that and almost got shot because I reached for that. As soon as they kicked in the door, freeze, don't move, my ass was thinking, nah, I'm getting high.
Yeah, I'm getting out of that shot.
I'm getting high. So I reached, and he was like, and I was like, oh, fuck. So I stopped. But yeah, they came and got me and took me, and they buried me in the back of that bitch. I didn't even see my lawyer for 2 months. It was a terrible place to be.
You went back to D.C., so you got arrested in Virginia. And
Where
they
is
took you to
that DC jail?
No, I got arrested in D.C.,
Oh.
and they came and got me and then took me across the bridge.
That's what I'm saying.
Marshals
You
did.
came back from Florida and Virginia, and then
And
they
grabbed me in Virginia and took me back to D.C.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about, because I definitely want to help some people out there, man. Know, like I said, let's get back to the stuff to look out for when when people are on drugs, because I definitely want to start helping some people, because I guarantee you there's somebody that has a family, that has a kid, uncle, aunt, whatever, that they don't know what's going on. And I'm telling you right now, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and a lot of being high too is self-medicating. I mean, that's also why a lot of people I believe have a hard time seeing the difference or seeing addiction in people, because they'll give pills, for mental conditions to kids nowadays for anything. So
Adderall and all
I mean,
that.
yeah, like anything. So Xanax, stuff like that, anything. And so they're already chemically imbalanced. So a parent might not see, just like my wife didn't see. Like, you're self-medicating, you're getting high. They think that's the pills, but a lot of these pills don't do anything but suppress a lot of stuff. And then when you do that, and these kids get to that point where, they're shutting their parents out, like, leave me alone, like, everything's fine, I don't want to talk to you.
Why are you in my business?
Yeah, and they're being reclusive, and they're sitting there, and it's because 70% of those kids are either getting high. I like talking about, the suicide problem too, because
Talk about it, man.
a lot of that too is from not only drugs, but it's a lot of kids doing drugs and they're reaching out by doing drugs. They want their parents, or they want someone to notice them going through whatever it is they're going through. And signs, you might not see the signs, but they're putting the signs out there, but you might not see them. You know what I mean? They're asking you for stuff they don't ask you for. They such as we'll say just more affection. Some kids might want more affection. Might want to be around their parents more. Might want to be more involved with their parents as far as, helping them with stuff or being involved in what they're doing. And I'm sorry, but nowadays a lot of parents just aren't like that.
You think parents are too caught up into their own lives to really figure out what's going on with the kids?
I do nowadays. I think it's this new generation. And my son's generation, I feel bad for. Like, I really do. I feel bad because there's nothing being done about a lot of things, and they don't have enough programs. Like, I've been trying to find a program for my kid to go to, like, for for not so much as bad kids, but just a different, like a military school, but not exactly like that, but just something with a curriculum or a schedule where, you know, he's telling you to go to bed.
You need structure.
Like he's telling you to go to bed. He's telling you to get up. Like you're going to class. Like there's no.
So I have a question for you. I was holding it off. I wanted to go back to what you're. Oh, sorry. I wanted to go back to what you were talking about your son.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it would be worthwhile for your kids to go to, like, I forgot what it's called, but it's kids whose parents are addicted? I forgot the acronym off the top of my head, because then
Al-Anon, I think.
maybe.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking, you know, because only people that are going to be able to really, I know you understand it, but you understand what you went through as a child, but you're an adult now.
Yeah.
But somebody on their same, I don't want to say mental level, but their age group, peer group, their peer group. And, you know, we were just talking just now about how life is so much different now than it was then. Mm-hmm. So there are other parameters that are in there that make it a little bit different. But I was, you know, just based off what you just said, something like that might be good for them. Mm-hmm. So they could have somebody to talk to who's, you know, because there's going to be somebody whose parents have maybe not done the exact same thing as you, but very similar.
Yeah.
And to help them mitigate their feelings or actions.
I do think, but you would be surprised how many people or parents that are ashamed to admit that, or are ashamed to say that they have been through that same kind of story. Do you know what I mean by that? Like a lot of people, I could be a person that someone wants to hear something from. It could change their life, or they could finally say, oh, you know what? I'm gonna stop doing dope too. You know, but then you also have a person that doesn't hear that from anybody.
Because they don't have a problem. Everything's fine.
But it doesn't resonate with them.
because they won't register.
It took me, what made me stop doing it was I actually went to a meeting in detox, and this fucking story this guy had was exactly like mine. I mean, exactly. Like going to detox as many times, you know, trying like kind of how he was brought up, what happened. And it hit me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it. And so I asked that guy to be my sponsor, because that's what you got to do first.
Right.
And so that's what happened. And then it went from there. I had to wait 24 days in detox before I went to the program. So that was tough, because I didn't want to go on Suboxone, but I knew I'd be wanting to leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That fix would be calling for me.
Right.
So I gave in and went on Suboxone. And that's also another thing I want to talk about. Now, you imagine someone is in jail, okay, for 6 months to a year, okay, and say they went in and they were a heroin addict. Okay, you're in that long. Not everybody gets Suboxone. Not every prison or jail gives Suboxone. Say you get in there, by 6 months, you're not sick in it. Unless you're doing dope in jail, which is, you can, you're clean. Now, say your lawyer comes to you and tells you, hey, you can get out this early. Like, I can get you out in 2 days. Only, you know, thing is you have to go to this 16-month residential treatment program because you had a drug problem before. Okay, cool. You know, because they're figuring it's a little more freedom, you know, who wants to be in jail? When you get there, they make you go to detox first. You know what the first thing they do to these people is? Prescribe them Suboxone.
Oh my God.
What if can't you refuse it?
It's a cycle.
If you want to be in this program and go, you got to be on some kind of Suboxone.
Damn.
You sign a paper.
That sucks.
Now you explain that to me. How in the hell does that make sense?
It does. You know what? I question that myself. One of my best friends, she works at a clinic, so I kind of know little bits about it, you know, just from hearing things from her. So I always wondered that as well, because you're giving drugs to treat a drug addiction, which is kind of counterintuitive, but also it made me, I just thought about it when you were talking about the kids on Adderall and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And it brings me back to something you said much earlier, which is about mental illness. So at some point I want to touch on that for you, but it makes me wonder, is it kind of like a cycle of, you know, I think, I hate to say it like this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think most people nowadays, especially in this era, not necessarily age-wise, but era, but like with technology and stuff, I think most people have some sort of mental illness because of all of the social media. Just, everybody has stressors in life. The same stuff that we've had for hundreds of years, but it's on a different level, and it's more in your face. Like before, you could kind of like in the 40s, you could mask stuff. You know what I mean? Even in the 70s, there were a lot of people's parents that were alcoholics and the kids came out just fine. Why can't they do it now? Well, there's other stressors that are involved. Do you know what I mean?
More shit is available now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I think it increases the mental instability. I'll say it that way.
But don't you think that part of that whole mental instability is caused by isolation?
Yes, it can be.
Because kids are isolated now. They're isolated by this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But they're isolated, but they're also not isolated because they have access. I can be right here, and I have access to something that's going on in like cities in California. I have access to what she's doing in California.
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot. You don't have to wait for the morning paper and then the reporting. It's like
right, and now everything's so instantaneous. So, like you said, I think people are overstimulated, and I think just think about how many kids you hear people talking just in general. How many kids have ADHD? When we were growing up, that was a rare thing. Now it's a common thing. Like you expect, even in a class of 30, you expect 20 of those kids to be ADHD.
Well, we talked about
right.
Remember, I had made.
So then we drug them, and then they become drug addicts.
I made a post about when AT&T lost their service. I'm wondering how many people. I made a post on Facebook.
Yeah, I was
like, I wonder how many people are going to figure out they're addicted to their phones.
The meltdown.
The meltdown. So now it's like it's a connection, right? Because you take that isolation that we talk about, and then you take that need for attention, that stimulation that you get from the instant likes, the comments, and the stuff like that, and then you're like, when they're away from it, they're like, all right, well, I need to do this. I need to feel better. Then I try to get this person Sally has a pill. Hey, Jane, won't you try this pill? And then boom, it's like a cycle that these kids.
We all crave some sort of dopamine, something that's going to give us that high, and it doesn't have to necessarily be drugs. It could be
gambling,
sex, too many pictures on social media, or whatever that thing is for you, because everybody's going to be different.
I bet you 70% of kids that try pills for the first time get them from their parents.
Because it's available in the house already.
Yes.
Because they're on it.
Yes.
And they don't even know it.
No.
Do you think the kids know that? No, not the kids. Do you think the parents even know and acknowledge that they have a problem?
No. I have an aunt who takes Benadryl every night now for 40 years to help her go to sleep. That's a fucking addiction.
That's an addiction.
I don't take it every night, but I do take it quite a bit because I have insomnia. But I don't take it every night.
Oh, but be careful. It's supposed to be bad for like Alzheimer's.
Oh, I know. That's why I don't take it every day.
Yeah, it's like
because that's
30,
an addiction.
30 years now every day, and you gonna tell me you ain't an addict? That's an addiction.
I mean, anything that you cannot.
Coffee's an addiction.
Oh, I'm addicted to
coffee.
I
will 100% tell you that I'm addicted to coffee. I will 100% tell you that I'm addicted to coffee. But you know what? Caffeine ain't so bad.
Yeah,
well,
but that's the thing is
antioxidants. Around.
But that's the thing is what did you just say? Repeat what you just said.
You justify it.
Right.
You justify it. Everybody
it's just coffee. It's just Benadryl. It's just weed. It's just meth. It's just heroin.
Everybody justifies it, and we go back to Real Feels 5 that we just shot. Shout out to Justin Danford.
Justin.
We talked about how he was able to rid himself of all of his addictions, right? And there's a level of discipline, and we talk about it all. We talked about it a lot on that passage. There's a level of discipline that you need in your life to rid yourself from some of the addictions and things that are plaguing you. But back to what you were saying about finding a program and something that will give some of these kids that are struggling some structure to where they would have, you got to wake up at this time. You got to, you got to do this. You got to do that. It's that structure that a lot of these kids are missing.
Yeah, Justin talked a lot about how the structure actually when he was in prison, like
that's what prison was what saved him because it gave him structure in his life.
And it shouldn't have to take that.
Shouldn't have to take that.
You need to change people, places, and things.
Amen.
I love that, man. Say it one more time.
People, places, and things. That's what you need to change. Because you're always going to be there. You know what I mean? You yourself and your addiction. And 7 years being off the heroin, don't get me wrong. There's still times I wake up, like it's very rare, but I'll wake up and say, damn.
Are you still?
It would be nice to get high.
I
don't act on it.
Yeah, of course you've kept that thought.
It's the thought that runs through your mind.
Are you still part of the AA? Do you still go to AA meetings and everything?
No, we can get into that.
Because you can't if you're smoking weed.
But that's my thing is even before that, I wasn't a big fan. And I'm going to tell you why.
Are you religious?
Hold on. Let me answer that. Hold on.
I'm not a fan because these people, okay, AA or NA, I know I'm gonna sound fucked up for saying this, and I don't care what people think, but it's kind of cultish. They preach their ways to you, and this is the only way to do it. This is what works. This is the only way. This. Nah, man, I'm sorry. And that's why I did it another way. I did it my way. I did the 120 meetings in 120 days. And from there, I did it my own way.
I actually agree with you. I used to go with one of my friends from high school. I used to go as a whatever. Just, she went and I would go with her.
Support.
There you go. And it was kind of cultish. I thought it was.
And they bash you. Like now. I got into it with some of them and they're telling me, oh, you can't say whatever because you smoke weed and you'll have some drinks sometimes. And no, you know what? Fuck you. Don't hate on me because I can control myself now. I've learned to control myself. And I smoke weed because weed makes me have to take 4 less pills than I should have to take.
Because of the pain?
For bipolar and pain, yeah. So that's saving, you know what I mean?
Your kidneys,
myself.
Your kidneys and liver.
I mean, it's hurting my lungs a little bit, but
you're not the first person that I know that is self-medicating with weed for bipolar. Can you talk about that? Like, what does that do?
Wait, can we go back and talk about when you got diagnosed? That's what I wanted to talk about too.
When I got diagnosed at 35.
Yeah, like how did you know? Like where did it come from? What happened after that?
We were just sitting. It was honestly, we went to me and my ex-wife and the kids went to North Carolina to visit her sister, and I couldn't sleep. Like I just couldn't sleep, and I don't remember any of the weekend, but I was awake the whole weekend, which was very weird. And then I was doing weird shit like putting a chair under the door, thinking someone was. I was just doing weird stuff.
You're paranoid?
Yeah, for no reason. But I don't remember like any of this. I was blacked out completely. So finally, my ex-wife was like, "I'm taking you to the hospital." So she took me, and the first thing they did was knock me out. Like they sedated me immediately. Well, I woke up 22 days later. Is when I came to in a psych ward. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, where am I? I'm looking out this little hole. I'm banging on the door. And they were like, are you ready to behave now? And I was like, what are you talking about? And I moved. And I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, you were tied down?
No, they beat the shit out of me. And I'm telling you why. When they let me out the shower and then I'm going by and there's a lady sitting at the table, and I'll never forget this because I hate myself for it. She goes, you remember me, Mr. Mathis? And I said, no, I don't remember much. And she lifted her hair up off her eye, and she was fucking welted like this.
Oh, you fucked her up?
She said at one point in the night, I woke up, because I was on 24-hour observation. She said, I woke up, crawled across the floor, yanked the chair out from under her, and just hit her. And I have no recollection of this. They said they had to give me 12 milligrams of Ativan. That's enough for a 600-pound man to put him to sleep.
Oh, to knock you out?
I stayed awake on that dose. Literally stayed awake.
Was that a symptom of you being on so much drugs?
Yeah. And basically, they said I had been bipolar, but they said I had a manic break. Like I had a manic episode, and finally everything just hit, and I snapped. So I was in there, but you know what's funny is while I was in there the whole time, guess what they were giving me? Oxycontins.
Oh my God.
They never stopped giving me my Oxycontins.
Is that because of withdrawal? No.
No, because I was on them for my knee still. I had that excuse.
So it's in your charts, or it's in
your, I was bleeding them. Like I knew I could get them, so I was just bleeding them. But they were giving me the cocktail because they were giving me the Ativan, which is like Xanax.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in the hospital fucked up now. That's how easy it was to get fucked up. That's how fucked up the system is.
So you went to get help, and then they put you on the drug that you've been addicted to for years.
Yeah. Pretty much.
And you were like, "Thank you."
It's a cycle, bro.
Thank you so much. Now I can sit in here and be fucked up too. Cool.
So what happened after 22 days? Let's talk about that. I'm invested now. I have so many questions.
After 22 days of being in there, or when I came to, I think I was there for another 2 weeks, maybe, or 19 days. I mean, on the psych floor, like the ward. I mean, batshit crazy people up there. And I'm sitting there, and so I get released from there, and I'm on like 9 pills. I'm like, what the fuck? And come to find out, they had me on so much Seroquel. I don't know if you know what Seroquel is. They had me on 1,400 milligrams of Seroquel.
What does it do?
In the daytime.
That's an antipsychotic.
Yeah.
It will lay you the fuck out on the floor if you've never taken it. And they had me on they said they had me on enough for 3 grown men. And I'm walking around on the shit.
That's because
it's because of all my abuse of drugs over time.
So it was like nothing. It was like giving you water.
Yeah. It's like giving a whale a Tic Tac.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to help much. But I would go and, yeah, anywhere I went for a while. How's your knee? Is your knee okay? You need a script. You need this. You need that.
So they were just feeding your addiction.
Yeah, and it was
freely.
so easy. They were feeding me money and my addiction. But when it all dries up, and then that's when shit gets real. And that's when, that's when I tried heroin. And it was like.
So what did they do about your bipolar? Like, so they
put me on meds. And
I mean, but
I had
they
to
didn't
see
give
a shrink.
Oh, they gave you therapy. Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
I had to see a therapist, but I didn't feel comfortable. I don't know why. Like, I didn't say anything about my stepdad. I didn't tell him anything about that. I didn't.
You have to find the right person.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot harder for men.
He was.
No, but I think it's harder for men to open up versus we like women. We talk all the time.
We make that excuse all the time.
I mean, I know it's an excuse.
I'm telling you right now, we make that we as men make that excuse because we don't necessarily have that safe place to not feel judged. I'm telling you that.
Yeah,
shit
I
right
agree.
now. Because if you have one of your homeboys that's one of your homeboys and he ain't gonna judge you and he accepts you for who you are, you'll open up to that cat.
Facts. But everybody in his circle was doing the same thing, so he didn't have a safe place.
You ain't had no safe place.
So how many other people outside of your circle did you know that weren't addicted to drugs, that were, so the person is it's a whole new entity of person for him to have to deal with. So I can understand why he wouldn't open up to that person, because it's like, how do I talk to this person? We're not high. What do we do? Right?
Yeah, and it didn't help. Like it was his first year. He was
newbie.
Yeah, and
he didn't have any experience.
And he was looking off of something while he was asking me questions like it was a fucking manual. I was like, I'm not fucking talking to you. Dude.
Yeah, so you're like a research project for him.
No,
internship.
Like, get somebody else and give me somebody else, or I'm done with it.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where they can't. I had to turn my gun in. I had to sign a paper saying I wouldn't own or register another firearm because I'm bipolar. You can't have it. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't.
If you're on medication, you cannot own a firearm. If you're diagnosed and on medication for something like that, bipolar.
How would they even keep check of that?
Well, if you're in the system, they know.
Oh, well,
so
yeah.
They can pull it up just like they can pull up a record. It comes up on the same thing.
So are they prescribing you still the medications for your bipolar?
Yeah.
But you're not taking them, right?
No, I take 2 of the pills because I need them. The main ones, Depakote and Zyprexa.
What is it? What do they? What do they do?
It's a mood stabilizer. One's a mood stabilizer, and the other one regulates basically where my bipolar is at. So it doesn't get too high, it doesn't get too low.
How does your bipolar come out? Are you manic or are you?
I lose I'll talk to walls. That's my bad manic.
Okay.
Like, I'll literally, there's been times where I've imagined shit. I guess it was like my last manic episode I had was probably, it's funny too because my mom thought I was back using. It was like 9 months ago, and she got a call from my roommate. He said, I don't know what's wrong with your son, but you need to come over here. And I was just talking to shit. I had taken the whole living room apart and shit out of the kitchen and moved it everywhere. And so she didn't know what to do because I started breaking stuff. So she called the cops, and the cops came, and they drove me 2.5, 3 hours to a psych facility, not just like on the floor. It was a facility. Forget what it's called. But I was there for I came to 12 days later. So that's how bad I get.
Wow.
I get to the point where I don't remember. I lose days.
Did your addiction have anything to do with you being bipolar, or is it an 8, or is it like
I was high before I even knew I was.
No, what I'm saying
the drugs exacerbate the bipolarism. I think it's
what came first?
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking the little bit I do know about bipolar is usually you get it starts to show itself between I think 20 and 40. Mm-hmm. So you can be young with it, or sometimes it doesn't manifest until later on in life. I just didn't know if the addiction had anything to do exacerbate the bipolar.
I really don't know, to be honest.
I'll Google it. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
I know I've diagnosed at least 4 people that I've known myself straight up.
Dr. Patrick Henry.
Straight up. So I'm he's my boy.
That's okay. I'm an oncologist.
So he said, so we were at the job, right? Shout out Casey. So we're at the job, right? And probably about 4 or 5 of us. We're out there. We're doing some landscaping at this guy's, house, big ass house in Great Falls, right? And so he gets into an argument with one of the other guys, and they arguing about something. I don't even know what they're arguing about. I'm like, and then I go over there. I'm like, hey, y'all need to chill, man. You know what I'm saying? We're out here talking, we're working. Y'all can't be cursing at customers' houses and stuff like that. And they getting into it. I was like, all right, you need to go over there. You go over there. I sent Casey over to the other side, right? And then I go over there to check on him. I was like, yo, you good, though? And then he starts talking, and this cat just breaks down. And just starts bawling, tears coming down his face, blah, blah, blah. And then I looked at Casey. I said, Casey, let me ask you a question, man. Have you ever been diagnosed for bipolarism? And don't get offended. No, not you. I was just talking to him, and he's like, "Man, fuck you, Pat. I ain't fucking bipolar." I was like, "Yo, you're hell of emotional right now." But from what I know from people that are bipolar, is that you have manic swings in your emotion. Mm-hmm. 1 minute you're happy as hell. The next minute you are depressed as depressed can be. And those swings are violent. The swings are violent. And I said, Casey, I have watched you for months upon months. And your swings and your mood swings are violent, and they happen instantaneously. Like, you'll be talking to me, and then all of a sudden, you'll be pissed, cussing me out. The next minute, you're telling me that you love me. I said, dog, I love you. Go to the doctor. Please. He took my advice. They diagnosed.
Were you right? Oh, congratulations.
They diagnosed this cat, and the next day he was on medication. to this day. And you know what's so crazy? Just like you said, he was self-diagnosed. He was self-medicating. Heroin. He did. I think he did meth. He did heroin. He was, he was a straight alcoholic. His wife had to revive him 3 times with Narcan. He put his wife through. How are they still together? But God bless your heart, girl. How are they still together? I have no idea. I love him to death. And he listens to this podcast, but he's open about it now, so that's why I can share.
Well, you didn't give names.
But he
Oh, you did.
It's that whole thing about the self-medicating and stuff like that. And then, I know of another person, and I'm not going to name them because we haven't talked about me disclosing his situation, but he had called me. It's a guy that I grew up in my neighborhood. He had called me, and we were talking on the phone, and he was just talking to me about, a situation between him and his wife and kids and stuff like that. And we were talking, man. I said to him, I said, man, I was just about to say his name. I said, yo, man, let me ask you a question. Have you been to the doctors lately about? He's like, yeah, I go to the doctors all. No. I mean, I'm talking about your mental state. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, dog, I ain't trying to call you crazy. All right, just understand that. But I think there's something chemically imbalanced about you and what's going on with you. And because he was thinking about suicide, at that time. And I can say that I'm glad that he reached out to me, because when I told him that he needs to go get checked because I think he's bipolar, he ended up being very bipolar.
And there's different levels to it. I think there's 3 levels.
Like
Bipolar
he was
1, bipolar 2, and bipolar.
Rachel's husband.
There's a mixed one, right? Yeah.
He was very on the edge, about to just off himself, but bipolar. And
he probably had that combined one. I forgot what it's called.
So he was I tell you,
That's what we do though. Before we know what it is, that's the only way. Like you said, there's a chemical imbalance, and as
maybe you had it when you were 13.
We feel like to balance that out, drugs help. Whatever help. Alcohol helps.
Yeah, because
shutting down helps.
Before you know about the chemical imbalance, you're like, I just don't feel good, man. Yeah. And I need something to raise my depression and raise how sad I'm feeling. I want to feel better. Or if you're just too manic, you're like, man, I need something to bring me down. I'm way too out there. You know what I'm saying?
Actually, it's funny. Medication bought me a free no ticket. I was going down 66. I was high. I had 6 grams of heroin in the car, but I also had just picked up my medication. So I had like 4 bags of meds, and I'm like 2-3 lane in it. That's how fucked up I am. And then I see the lights, and there's a state trooper, and he walks up to me, and the first thing he says is, "You okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I just got this new medication. I took it. I didn't realize it hit me like this. I live right around the corner." And he was like, "I'm not going to find any drugs in your car, am I?" And I said, "No. Why?" He said, "All right." And he came back. He said, "Your license is suspended, right?" I said, "No." And I'm thinking, I'm fucked.
Yeah,
because search the car.
He about to find everything.
You know what this man did? He handed me my shit back. He said, "Look, I'm going to walk back to my car. I'm going to turn around and walk there." He said, "I know you live right down the street. However you get there, I don't know, but go ahead."
He let you drive?
Let me drive away.
Shout out.
No nothing.
Savior, bro.
Mm-hmm.
No nothing. I don't know what happened. I thought I was done. I knew I was going to jail. He turned around and walked away. He said,
I'm surprised he didn't follow you back to your house to make
No,
sure you got there
he
and you
didn't.
didn't cause an accident. That's kind of like,
Yeah.
what?
but as soon as something like that happens, your heroin high will go away.
Oh.
Like that feeling, you're like that. is
They're sobering.
gone.
Oh, yeah. I guess it would have sobered me up, too.
So talk about, man, because we're going to be closing here probably about another 15, 20 minutes or so. But talk about what keeps you from not relapsing?
Yeah.
What keeps me from not relapsing is it scares me, for one. And it doesn't scare me. I guess, to be honest with you, the main thing that fucking scares me is fentanyl. That's number one.
Getting a bad batch.
Yeah. Number two is I know I don't have another run left in me. I mean, I'll be 48 this year. I don't have another run left in me. My kids are older. I'm worried about my youngest kid. You know, I got grown folk shit to worry about. You know, I have no will to get high anymore.
Let me ask you a question, because I think I have this, and I'll tell you why. Do you feel like your 9 lives, you're on your 8th?
Yeah. I don't think I got much more in me.
I'll tell you the reason why I say that to you is because you escaped dying literally because of your drugs. I escaped going to prison for the dumb shit that I did. This is why I run the straight and narrow now.
Mm-hmm.
Almost everybody that I grew up with at one point ended up in jail. I'm not telling you that I did some of the dumb shit, but I did dumb shit that I would have ended me up in jail.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. I think about that shit all the time. I straight up think about that shit all the time. I did like I had the cops knock on my freaking door, and if they would have just done a little bit of investigating, I would have been done.
Another thing that scares me too is there was 58 people in my residential treatment program. Only 30 of us graduated. 19 of them are dead.
Damn. Out of the 30.
19 of them are dead.
Damn.
Wow.
That's a high number, bro.
Yeah, that's a high.
So are you working now? You live with a roommate?
I have a roommate. Right now, no, because I got to have another surgery.